Hello there and welcome back to my YouTube channel and to today's video all about how to pass your upcoming tax examination and to get 70% on your exam. We've got the lovely Nicole with us today who self-studied and passed the tax F6 paper within 10 weeks. So she's delighted to come on and share her insights that could be the difference if you've got the exam tomorrow, next week, next month. That could mean you getting that pass. So Nicole, feel free to introduce yourself.
I'm Nicole and I passed the tax exam with 70% and I did it all self-study.
And that is very good going on there, Nicole, I must say. But for context, before we get going, walking and talking through some tips to help ACCA students out, what's your sort of work background? Do you actually work in tax or accounts to help you out with this exam?
Yep, so I'm a senior accountant for a practice firm and we do all company accounts and tax returns, so corporation tax, self-assessments, etc. So
Nice.
yeah, I do have a background in tax.
That's all right. Oh, good grief. Well, the first question I have to ask then is, if we've got a student who's listening in today who doesn't work in tax, what's your best bit of advice to help them to pass this examination?
It doesn't matter if you work in tax or not, because I found that I had a little bit of knowledge that contributed to the exams, but everything I learned I didn't know. So just if you don't work in tax, you can still pass this exam.
Yeah, and most people who do the tax exam are you know, part qualified students who have been studying for a few years, probably a bit early into their career. So yeah, don't see it as a massive disadvantage, I would say, to get kicked off. But the main thing that helped me when I did my tax exam was pro formas going through it.
Yeah.
And actually, or templates, they're also known as. But did you use those in your studying, Nicole, to help you out?
Yeah, so I had something called a cheat sheet. So it's not actually a cheat sheet, but basically any formulas, so where you have to do like the rollover relief or entrepreneur relief, business asset disposal relief, any calculations for that I would have on my sheet of paper, and I ended up having like 10 sheets.
Yeah.
And what that does is that kind of the book that's like that, it kind of makes it into a few pages. So when you're doing a question, you can quickly look at that and think, okay, right, I remember this. And that I found that really, really useful.
Spot on. Yeah. And if you look at the tax syllabus on ACCA's website, they break it down into some nice areas. So you've got income tax, corporation tax, and I would have a pro forma for, right, this is an income tax calculation. Everything that they've tested, I'm going to pop it on Excel, print it out. Same with a company accounts. If there was an asset which was sold and they maybe had some relief on it or anything else on there, it's a case of just going through each one so that if you got tested on it, you know how to handle it on there. But what for you, what are the key topics that are paramount to passing the tax exam for you?
For me, I had a 20-mark question on pensions.
All right.
Now, the syllabus pension, I think, was 1 page or 2 pages. So for me, it was anything in the syllabus can be tested, as we both know. Pensions was a big one. And I think, especially in these times where everyone's trying to invest money tax-free, pensions is probably one that I think will be continued to be examined quite a lot. So pensions would be an area that I would suggest students focus on, because it's one that tends to get left, I think.
Oh yeah, and then you got also the bread and butter areas of, you got your income tax, you've got your company tax, you've also got personal tax areas, other areas of company tax on there as well, VAT. So just try and I always found I try and break up the syllabus into different areas. And I used to have pieces of paper on my wall just broken down, or I used to separate it out in my books. So what sort of other things did you have in your revision to help you out to digest it all?
Sticky notes. So I used a wall, and I had section A, section B. So section A, I believe, was income tax. So I had all the notes on that. Any keywords, explanations to the keywords as well, quite, because there's so much of the syllabus. I don't think the examiners or ACCA expect you to know everything, but they expect you to know basic knowledge of each individual section. So I did that with my sheets, and also with lots of sticky notes on the walls. And then when I come to doing practice questions, I could quickly look on the wall. Okay, quick reminder. Okay, and then what happens is you stop looking at the wall because you already know it, and you start to learn it. So
yeah, I'm sure you weren't looking at that wall too much and going a bit bonkers. But the other thing to add to that is the specifics in this exam. So those keywords like crystallizing, and then also the dates as well are really, really important as to if you've got any overlap between different tax years or company years. How did you break that down? I quite like timelines as well. What helped you to just sort of picture what was going on in that scenario?
You said it, timelines. Timelines are key, absolute key. You can't, if you try and do it in your head, and you're in the exam and you're time pressured, you're probably going to make a mistake. So you get given a sheet of paper in the exam, draw out your timeline, and you can see it, and then that way you're like, okay, I've got this under control. I can clearly see what periods we're talking about.
Yeah, so. Exactly. The other thing I used to help that benefited me was trying to picture if it was my business, or if I was advising this client that they're sat the other side of the table from me, that I could be in their shoes, picture what the business is, what they're selling, products, services. Did you kind of do that in your preparation?
Yeah, so I think when I was doing calculations, especially in the exam, just think about it logically, you know, kind of think if they are saying 20%, then okay, right, I need to work out 20% of this. Obviously, there are some rules that you have to take into account. And fortunately, ACCA do give you the tax rate in the exam, which is so helpful. You know, if you're in the exam and you can't remember something, quickly look at that sheet. You've got it in the exam, really helpful. And then you're like, right, I just need to work out 20% of this figure. You're kind of work in a process, work step by step. Don't try and get to point 4 if you haven't done point 1, 2, 3. Follow the process.
Oh, definitely. And you touched on there, interestingly, about the rules. Okay, now let's not beat around the bush here. There are a lot of rules. What's your best advice to a student that, you know, you're doing the question and then you get completely thrown off by a rule or some sort of specific that you've never even seen? What's your best advice on that? How to come back from it?
So if you get given a rule that you're like, oh, I don't remember this, or I haven't seen this before, take a deep breath and think to yourself, right, is there anything that, or any knowledge that I think is similar to this scenario? And then link it back to that, because 9 times out of 10, you probably do know it. And when you're in exam pressure, you kind of overthink everything. So think to yourself, right, I'm going to take a deep breath. I think it may relate to this. I'm going to use this as a scenario, and then just write it down.
And just break it down, go back through that requirement on there. And the other thing that helped me was if I didn't know a rule in the tax exam, I used to have a piece of paper where I just wrote it down, so that the night before the exam I had on one piece of paper, well, it was probably about 4 or 5 pieces of paper, being honest with you, all these things that I didn't know, so it was just easy to digest as I went through it on that. I thought was really, really helpful for it. But coming to the exam, we've got different sections, A, B, and C. Which one did you like the best, or which one did you not like out of all of them?
I preferred section C, because I'd practiced it so much. That was the one I was most confident on. And I believe that was single self-assessment sole trade account.
Yeah, it would be individuals or company on there. Yeah, they have to test that.
And I disliked section B, because there was so many different variables. You have quite a lot of calculations in section A and section B, and you have very little time to do like quite a lot of calculations. So I would really say that practice time management before the exam.
Right. How did you get?
I ran out of time.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
I ran out of time. So for your exam, did you do section C, B, A, or what was the format that you went for?
So I did hardest section C, Even though I preferred it and was probably the most comfortable with it because I practiced it so much, I don't like writing. So I do section C first, section B because that's the second least one I like, and then section A because I prefer section A questions. So I save that one till last because that's the easiest, I find. The easiest ones to get the marks and stuff.
Nice. And talking about all the different areas, we've got to allude to the tax syllabus as well, because to give context to someone who's not even started it yet, maybe this is day one and the first thing they're watching on it, how wide is the syllabus and the application in the exam?
There's A to G sections, a lot of information that you need to learn. So planning your time is very important. If you're going to do it in 10 weeks like I did, I had to plan every day down to the page number per day, what I was doing in the morning, what I was doing in the evening. There's so much to cover that you won't be able to just kind of do it as and when.
Wing it.
You won't be able to do that in this exam. You have to do the whole syllabus and you have to plan your time.
So did you attempt it, read through the syllabus, the core text, then move on to questions, or did you do a few questions as you went through? I know you had a bit of experience working in tax. It'd be really interesting to know.
Yeah, so I did the study text. So I do a chapter and then I do the practice questions. Then I do another chapter, do the questions. And then I would, once I kind of got past section A, the ACCA syllabus, so the A section, I'd then go back over all the questions that I got wrong. Right. And I just keep doing it until I got it right.
Yeah. I found spot on. That's really good.
Yeah. I found the questions weren't like anything like in my work or in my job role. When I say they weren't anything like in my job role, we use systems, so the system automatically thinks for you. So this actually made me think, oh, okay, so that's what the system does for me.
And what's going on in the background as well. But I think you mentioned another good point there as to doing the section and getting the reading done, then attempting questions straight away, because I hear from so many students who just, what they'll do is they'll cover the core text, chapters 1 to 14, how many there may be, and then when it comes to the questions, they'll start and they'll go, oh my word, company accounts was chapter 2, and that was 2 weeks ago for me. So I completely agree, doing bit by bit, but the planning is the key thing. I mean, out of interest, what was your sort of study routine for tax like around working full time?
2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening during the week, Monday to Friday, and then on weekends 8 hours.
Crikey. And there'll be people watching this now, Nicole, going,
I don't have time.
Well, it's all about how much available time you have on there, isn't it? It's a case of different people are going to have different commitments, children, some people don't have to work full time on there, so put the feet up maybe, but it's just working out what works best for you on there. But other resources that I'd recommend, and I mean, feel free to chip in as to if you use them, but the technical articles on ACCA's website, the examiner's reports on there, did you use these within your preparation?
I did. So I did the technical articles right at the beginning, before I even started the studying, and then on revision phase I would look over past papers.
Nice. And the other thing, just to get on record, was that when should you attempt the tax paper as well? Because we're talking about different rates and allowances. When did you actually sit it for the first time?
I sat it in December. So I thought to myself, if I do it in December, then I kind of have a shot at it again in March. And I kind of wanted to pass first time. Obviously everyone does, but I kind of gave myself that leeway of, okay, well, I have March just in case. So I would suggest maybe looking at, if it's your first time doing it, kind of get in there before December or on December. So then you have that chance to do it before it renews with the new tax rates.
Yes, exactly. So for the UK paper, just to be crystal clear, that the new rates and allowances come into effect in the June sitting. So the March sitting, as Nicole said, would be your last chance saloon with your current up-to-date books that would be applied, because what you don't want to do is have the old books going into the new exam because they've got different rates, different allowances. Now, you could use old books for it. It's okay. But the new rates and the new rules, personally for me, I get the question all the time, James, should I buy the new books for the new tax exams? So what would you say, Nicole? Yes or no on that?
Yes. And for somebody that works with tax, rules are changing all the time. Yeah. So ACCA definitely bring that into the exam. So they bring in the rules of that tax year that you're doing. I would strongly suggest getting the books based on the exam that you're going into.
Definitely. And also having a look at some of the up-to-date technical articles on there that they could test you on hot topics. So it could be anything at the moment, like cryptocurrency is a hot topic.
That's a big one.
Yeah, exactly. Where if it's a hot topic and someone from ACCA of the marketing team has written a lovely article on it, they go, I think there might be a good chance they might put 5 to 10 marks in on that, I would say. Yeah. But I mean, Nicole, are there any other final words of wisdom, thoughts, nuggets of information that could help someone out to pass the exam that you couldn't sleep tonight if you didn't share it with the viewers right now?
So for the tax exam, ACCA did a free webinar for students in the revision period, where they dissected and they walked through an exam question of how students could get most marks, how to lay out your answer on a section C, section B, and a section A question.
Wow.
And I found that was extremely helpful. Again, this is all free. You just join via the link that you get. ACCA email students. So I would suggest probably getting onto one of them when ACCA.
Oh, definitely. Oh, I would. Any of those are going to be massive to help your preparation. But obviously, me being such a nice person, Nicole, what I'll do is I'll put the link in the bottom where you'll get all the updates, all the other aspects from ACCA on the tax paper for all the free resources on there. And then hopefully, my fingers are crossed that it could make the difference in you passing on there. But I must say, Nicole, thank you so much again for your time today, sharing your insights. I mean, I hope you've enjoyed yourself.
Thank you.
That's all right. Well, thanks very much, guys. Again, for Nicole and myself, if you've got any questions about the tax exam, more than happy to reply. So leave a comment below. And also, I like to hear this. Where are you watching the video from? How you get on in your exam? Would you like to know, Nicole, how these tips and what marks the students get? Oh, well, I would on there, because it's great to hear from you guys around. So if you want access to all the other updates, I'll be doing more videos. Make sure you subscribe and, of course, like the video, because Nicole's tips today have been absolutely spot on. Are there any final motivational words, Nicole, that you'd give to any other tax student who may have the exam tomorrow?
You can do it.
Oh, I think they'll enjoy it maybe as well. That'll be the other thing.
Yes, it's fun.
To a point, but well, on that bombshell, enjoy it. Cheers.